there, and welcome back to Weird Soda for Life. Today I'm going to decide whether I should stay or Faygo. Ah? Ah? You get it. Anyway, welcome back. We are trying another Faygo soda. This is Faygo's newest soda on the block, new permanent flavor, Jolly Green Apple. This came out in the fall, but as often happens, life. TM, TM, TM. So we're getting to it now. Um, So I was kind of stuck about what to discuss for the channel because we have discussed Fago, and we have discussed, thanks to friend of the channel Anne's like foray into Amish markets, we have discussed apples a lot more frequently than I thought I would this year. So I was a little bit stuck on like what to discuss about this. But then I look at the label, and so while it says Jolly Green Apple, it's got little teeny tiny writing, which I'll show you in a second. Sour green apple. And so I always said to myself, is there a sour green apple I could discuss? And you're in luck because there is. Luck. Um, so today we're going to discuss Granny Smith apples. Um, so fun fact, did you know that Granny Smith apples aren't actually American? I know here in America we very much associate ourselves with apples and apple pie and all of the things with apples. American is apple pie, one might say. But this uh, Granny Smith apples were actually created in Australia, of all places. Back in 1868, a woman named Maria Ann Smith, that's right, the titular Granny Smith was a real person, uh, found some, like a seedling growing up from discarded French crab apples. Why one is just like, garbage, let me rifle through it for a plant, is beyond me, but apparently it sort of worked out. Maybe she was taking a break in between dodging all of the I don't know, Australian wildlife that attempts to kill you. That place is full of deadly critters. So I mean, I guess if you're gonna find a hobby, it might as well be finding plants that can grow in your compost and then trying to develop them as opposed to trying to like sword fight a kangaroo. I mean, I don't know what they do in Australia. But anyway, so she finds this seedling and she's like, you know what? Bam! I got nothing but time on my hands. I'm a granny. I'm old. I'm going to plant this and I'm going to see what happens with it. And that sounds great. And after some trial and error, she creates what we think of as now the Granny Smith apple. Except, actually, she doesn't. Because, as I said, she found the seedling, this plant in 1868, and she dies in 1870. That's not a long enough time to grow a tree. Even I know that. But she had begun the work. She had started the grafting. She had started the exploring. And one of her neighbors bought the farm and had seen the apples growing. And like he goes wild in the aisles and starts like planting all of these trees, really digging in, and he's the one that actually creates this apple. But we don't think about this dude. We think about the old lady who went rifling through garbage. So let that be your legacy, I guess. Um, but because of so crab apples are usually pretty tiny and they're hard and they travel well. So like with the grafting and the like cultivating, um, the Granny Smith apple really takes off, as I said before, because it maintains those qualities of a crab apple. It travels exceedingly well, and its shelf life is super stable. Um, so by like the late 19th century, the Granny Smith apples have made their way to America. However, it wasn't until the 1970s and 80s when Americans looked around and said to themselves, you know what? The economy sucks. Everything is on fire. What is happening in our lives? We have deadly diseases. You know what would make me feel better? An apple as sour as what's going on around me. Uh, so it's not actually until the 1970s and 80s, almost 100 years later, that the Granny Smith apple takes off. Um, Today, people find it all over the place. They find it in, well, I've talked about pies. I'm a sucker for a caramel Smith, a caramel apple with Granny Smith apples. I love eating things on sticks, and an apple with caramel is the best. Um, and anything else that kind of needed like salads. So anything that kind of needed like a tart sort of to it, the Granny Smith apple is great for that. And today it's grown all over. Obviously, the U.S., Australia, New Zealand, South America. Um, so I guess take inspiration that you too can rise from the garbage and become a food sensation. I don't know where I was going with this. With that, let's see what we're looking at here. Um, Again, we kind of get this sort of classic Faygo sort of like bottle. You've got the font, you've got the genuine delicious. You get the Jolly Green Apple. It's very like 1960s evocative. And then, as I said before, I'll see if you guys can see it. You probably can't, let's be honest. But right there in those little things, it says sour green apple. With that, see what we've gotten ourselves into. Okay, this smells like artificial sour apple to me. Yeah, this smells kind of like a Jolly Rancher. It smells like a Jolly Rancher, I think. With that, bottoms up. Y'all, this tastes like bad decisions. um, that is to say, the PG person in me would tell you that it tastes like, well, frankly, like a green Jolly Rancher. It's really oddly evocative of that. Um, but the former college student in me will tell you it tastes like sour green apple pucker. That tastes like pucker. That is a drink that I know I have been mixed with and gotten sick on. Some some of you may have come to a house party I threw a few years ago, where I made a drink with caramel, vanilla vodka, and sour green apple pucker, and like I could have easily subbed this instead, and maybe we would have had a little bit less of a hangover. But yeah, it is sweet, like all Fago is. There is a tartness in there, not as tart as I would like it. Only because if you advertise on your bottle that you are sour, I expect to pucker up. And we have had several sodas on the channel where I've just been like, ah, that is not the reaction I have here. It is sour enough; it's passable. But it really does taste like a Jolly Rancher or Puckers. Um, if you like that, if you like artificial apple flavor, like this is for you. Um, it's it's not bad. It's decent. Um, it's kind of, this is one of those ones where we struggle with because it's not like amazing, but it's not terrible or even mediocre. It's just good. And so sometimes when we talk about good sodas, they're not that exciting. Um, but if you find it, go get it. I think it's better cold than I think it is warm. Other than that, I think you can't go wrong with it, especially if you like apple candy, because that's pretty much what this is. Next week we have the return of the Amish market. So I told Anne that I very much enjoyed the sodas that she found, not expecting anything, and she went back to the Amish market and found two more sodas. So we are going to um, try a couple more of those. We're probably going to close out the year with those. As you know, or mostly I'm just making it a tradition now, the last video of the season will be my top five favorite sodas of the year, like I did last year. Um, but next week, because we were trying another one of the Amish sodas, we're trying a soda called Materva, which, weirdly enough, one of my colleagues at work also recommended to me, apropos of nothing. So I'm very much looking forward to learning about it and trying it. Until next time, drink weird, and just because it worked for Granny Smith the rifle through the garbage, I don't think that's really a valid life choice all that much because you don't know what you're going to get in there. Probably tetanus or a bite from a rat. See you next time.